All right, so here we are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the MorganMan Sports Podcast YouTube edition here on this Wednesday right here. And with me today, I have the folks over at ATL UK, and that is Daniel and Cal from the Atlanta Falcons UK YouTube, Twitter, and Anchor and Spotify. So, guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So, tell me, what's it feel like? I'm just going to go ahead and start out with the questions. You've already been followed by some of the 92.9 guys and the Atlanta Falcons themselves. What's it feel like to already, being a growing podcast network and already getting followed by like big names like this?
It's really strange because we only really started the page to just have a chat with people about NFL, really. We didn't want to block up everyone's timelines on our personal Twitters, so we made this one just to have a chat. And then apparently there's people that actually want to hear us talk or read about what we think. So it's a nice one. It's a bit of a shock to the system.
Yeah, I didn't expect any of it, but we can't complain about what's happened, really.
No.
Takes up most of our days at times, but it's all beneficial. And I think I just can't wait for the season because we started it in June, I think, start of June.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's still over 140, 50 days to the season. You're just but it's gone. It has gone pretty quick since, and it's only 21 days until we start our first game. So it's like the excitement's starting to build even more now.
Yep. Yeah, so we are Todd Gurley days away from the season. it is exciting. But yeah, and also you guys got me that time when you put out like that verified account out there. I was like, man, y'all should have already been verified. Like what's the deal?
Oh, I only did that as a joke, and so many people bought it, and I felt really guilty afterwards. Cal was like, "Should we take it down?" I was like, "Let's leave it for a bit."
So listeners of the podcast, or I should start calling y'all the family, because my podcast and the ATL Falcons UK podcast is growing every single day, and that's all thanks to the Worst Take Network. So shout out to the Worst Take Network on this podcast right here. But we are going to go into training camp, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, AJ Terrell, he is looking very phenomenal.
That catch was something else straight away. Was it against Ridley? I think it was.
Yeah, the one on Ridley.
But even that, since then, I think the training camp, every video's boosting it. It's just, I'm enjoying the video so much more. Obviously, that's only our second season as it is, but every video is just getting you hyped so much. Getting you hyped.
Yeah, whenever I first saw that video and I was reading through the comments, somebody said, "Now who the hell threw that pass? Was it Matt Ryan?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, here we go!" But it could have been, Bennert, Matt Schaub, or whatever. And it'd be like, okay, it's fine. That's normal. But if it's Matt Ryan, oh no, the world's fixing to burn down. But no, every quarterback has an interception, but that was very impressive with AJ Terrell.
I was just going to say, credit where credit's due. I don't think it was necessarily a very poor throw or anything. I think it was just an unbelievable catch. And that was only the first highlight of him that we saw, really. And so many more are coming out every day now. And I think because of the amount of excitement that catch brought in, they're throwing so much more AJ content on there because everybody's just eating it up.
Yeah, and on that play right there, it looked like AJ Terrell was just treating himself like he was the wide receiver and Calvin Ridley was the corner.
He was. He was going for it. And
go on.
Go on, no, it's all right.
One of the good things about that video is it's the reaction from all the play, obviously the defensive team. It's the chemistry between them is somewhat you love to see. That's what you want to see in every video, and that's what you get. As soon as he caught it, we're all cheering, etc. It's a real game, and that's the chemistry you want in the training straight away.
Absolutely. It's the way that Allen and everyone he celebrated like mad, and then Allen and everyone around him was literally that's it. That's exactly what you want. And it's like you just said, it's the chemistry building that you don't get to see as much when they're not all together in that environment. I think the training camp's definitely the best place to get this sort of content out to us.
Right. And also, speaking of AJ Terrell, moving him over to Julio Jones, arguably the number one receiver in the entire NFL, you never hardly even see it where corners or even just anybody on defense is snatching the ball or just picking it out of his hands. But AJ Terrell comes in probably first or second reps against Julio and like, no, get out of my yard.
Yeah,
It,
definitely.
it's a proper induction of fire for him, isn't it? It literally couldn't be put in a better but worse situation, if that makes sense. Like you're training against the best wide receiver in the NFL, so that's amazing. But it's the worst because every single day it's absolute maximum effort, and you're going to tire out. But it's only going to help him when the season starts.
Mm-hmm. And so we got a little bit of news right here recording this podcast because we are recording on Sunday at 12:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in UK 5:17. But Marlon Davison is right now being out right now because of a knee strain, if I'm not.
Yeah, I seen that about it was a couple of hours ago when it just came out.
And of course today as well for Sunday there is no pads. It's just more kind of like strength and conditioning as well, and kind of understanding the playbook a little bit more without actually going out there and doing that.
Yeah.
And I do like that right there because it's given more of a Todd Gurley and Alex Mack time to like rest up and just understand everything what's going on, and it's just helping their chances to become more healthier throughout the season rather than a week 2 Todd Gurley out for the rest or whatever like that.
Yeah. No, they're properly managing the workload by the looks of it, to be fair, aren't they? Because even when everyone else has been featuring in the scrimmages and stuff, they've sat out a few days here and there. I think they're basically 3 days on, the day off, 3 days on, day off, regardless of what else is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But every day that they have off, they're still there and they're still taking it in, but they're just overlooking it really, which is ideal because they're both veterans, aren't they, in their own right? So
right.
It's not like they need to learn. It's more the support for the other players that need the help.
Right.
I think with the Davidson thing as well, at least it's like it's because it's still 21 days till the season starts. If he's going to pick up a bit of an injury now, he's picking it up not 2 days before the season starts. He's got it now. We can still got time to rest and hopefully recover properly from it. Mm-hmm. That's one benefit.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also the COVID-19 test, and really at the beginning of training camp we had 6 to 8 players max, but really ever since training camp has been going on, we really haven't had no COVID, test coming back positive, and that's a huge sign right there.
I think it shows how well the operation's being run by all of the staff, not just the coaching staff, like all the medical team and everyone that runs the facility, but I think the fact that we're getting no positive tests and the fact that nobody opted out is a massive benefit to us this season, because so many teams have suffered by losing quite a lot of key players, but I mean just at least depth, and we've just got away with it so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just take the New England Patriots, for example. They had 8 players just drop out for the season, and that's really going to hurt their chances. It was more on defense than offense. I was shocked about that because the Patriots are kind of like a number 1 defense.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? But it's hard to argue against people dropping out, isn't it? Because when it's your own family and stuff, it's like what you're more bothered about, football or that. And I know not all fans will see it that way, but
right.
I suppose it's got to be done.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I'm happy that there's no positive COVID test coming back, at least for the Falcons. And across the league, you're really not hearing many people getting tested positive. So that's a huge sign right there.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive, isn't it? Because obviously the season's not even started yet. And I think me and Danny were speaking the other week, because if one team gets a breakout of 10 in before one game, it's like, what happens then? Mm-hmm. Do they suspend the game? Do you just use your depth? Then that's not fair, etc. It's so many things, but hopefully it's a good sign so far anyway. So hopefully it stays up like this.
Mm-hmm. So now getting off the COVID test, our backup quarterback situation, Matt Schaub and not Danny Elton, because we released him, Kurt Bennerk. Who do you think is going to really win that? I'm rooting for Kurt Bennerk to win that backup position this year. What do y'all think?
Me and Danny said we want it to be him. That's why we wanted the preseason friendlies so much, so he could prove himself in them. Because I think he got injured in his first game last year.
Yep,
so
the Hall of Fame game.
Friendlies. So we was like proper rooting for hopefully the friendlies go ahead so he can prove himself. But hopefully in training he's proving himself. But I think for the two backups we actually have, I think that's good depth. Like if Matt Ryan gets injured or whatever, like only if it's for one game, I think that's a good depth to have in them too. I think.
I think Matty Schaub's getting to the age as well where he's probably. I know he'll still want to play and get some reps, but he's probably reasonably happy with passing down the mantle. If he sees that Kurt's doing better and like performing well, I can't see him having an issue with it. He's a proper professional, isn't he? So I think it is probably time for Kurt to step into that role. Hopefully we don't need him too often, and Ryan's fit for the whole season. But if it wants to happen.
Yeah, because we definitely don't want week 7 of last year whenever Matt Ryan went down, and then week 8, Matt Schaub had to step in, which he did a phenomenal job of keeping the Falcons in the game. But I still honestly think, Matt Ryan, if healthy, we would have won that Seattle game, definitely have more of a kind of like a boost going into New Orleans for that second half of the season. So now we're going to talk a little bit about over and unders. Now I'm going to make up kind of like the over and under situation, and I'm going to let you guys pick over or under on touchdowns or yards or whatever. So for Julio Jones, I was going to say Matt Ryan touchdown rates, but Julio Jones, he really hasn't had much of a season that has double-digit touchdowns minus his 2012 season, and that was only 10 touchdowns. So for this season in 2020 and Dirk Cotter being second year back in Atlanta, do you think Matt or Julio Jones will have a double-digit season or more? And I'm going to start off with the number of, let's just say 8 touchdowns, over or under on that.
I'm going to go with over.
I'm going to go with over, and I'm going to just go for double digits of 10 or 11 because he's not going to get the same coverage that he's had for the last few years, because I think the amount of firepower we have up front this season is a hell of a lot deeper than what we have had in the past. So teams are just not going to be able to prepare and cover him the way that they have been doing, because Ridley's such a threat now. You'll have Hayden Hurst, which is, regardless of how we think he's going to play yet, we know he's athletic, so he's a man that you've got to watch. And then, of course, Todd Gurley. So I think Jones will have more time and more opportunities than he's had in the last few years, at least.
Yeah, like definitely with all the weapons of Hurst, Ridley, and Gurley, you can, if I'm the Falcons, I can definitely sneak in Julio somewhere down in the red zone or even the end zone, and nobody's going to expect it. But yet he's still going to be 2-3 men covered. And then here's Ridley over here, and then they're going to switch it, and then Julio's going to get that touchdown on the next play or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that option right there because you're only limited to 11 people, and you can't cover one person 5-man deep or whatever.
No.
So
they give it a good go last season, to be fair to pretty much every team that we played against. But no, I think definitely 10 or 11.
Okay. So now Hayden Hurst, he is the tight end that I am looking forward to watching this year. Now, there was a magazine I read about a few months back, it was talking about fantasy and stuff. And for his fantasy projection, he was only going to be 4 touchdowns for the season. I kind of like, at that. I'm thinking he's going to go at least 7 touchdowns this season, over or under on that.
I would say under, but I'd say 6. I think he'll get 6 touchdowns, which I think would be, I'll take 6 touchdowns off from him. If he gets a decent yardage, as well. I don't think we can complain. What did Hooper get last year?
I can look that up.
I'm trying to think. That's just
I want to say he got. I want to say he got about 7. That sounds about right.
Yeah. But I think if he gets 6, I think Andy gets 600 yards plus. I don't think that's a bad season. Bad first season as well. But I think with Todd Gurley as well, it's obviously another weapon in it. So you don't mind. You don't mind the touchdowns spreading around at all. But I think if he gets 6 touchdowns, I don't think that's a bad season. Bad first season anyway.
No, not at all. It's such a hard call, that one as well, though, because we've not really seen him play a heavy amount of minutes. Like, you don't have a lot of information to judge it off. But I'd be the same as Cal. I'd say 6. It's about 6, and I'd be more than satisfied. Yeah. Especially considering we've got him on a contract, so we keep him next season as well.
Austin Hooper last season was 6 touchdowns. So honestly, even if Hayden Hurst does meet this or even more, Falcons, you better sign him to a long-term deal already.
I was just going to say, because mine and Cal's first season supporting the Falcons really was last season, and Hooper was pretty much one of our favourite players, if not our favourite, just as in pure shocked us, like you don't know what to expect. So if Hurst can get anywhere near those performances and the touchdowns, then it's a massive plus. And obviously we've not seen much of him, but I believe he's a much better blocker than Hooper is as well, whereas Hooper's more for you getting your yards. So
yeah, because Hayden Hurst, he looks more of like the athlete tight end than Austin Hooper, because Austin Hooper, I love the guy, I really do, but it seems like whenever Austin Hooper catches the ball, he's automatically just going to the ground.
Yeah, I see what
and I feel like with Hayden Hurst, he's going to put up a fight before he goes on the ground, and that's what I like about Hurst rather than Hooper.
Well, he has a point to prove as well, doesn't he? I think that's the main thing. Obviously, what happened in Baltimore, he didn't start much, etc. But with what Matt Ryan said a couple of months ago, I think they met up throughout the isolation and all that. Said his reaction straight away was like he is a lot more athletic straight away, which is obviously something I think we need. And obviously with Todd Gurley, with our running game, which should be a lot, hopefully, on point this year, I think he'll help out with blocking a lot more as well. So hopefully. Right. But with the touchdowns, I think anything around 6 touchdowns, I don't think we can argue against that in his first year.
Right.
Hurst is built like an absolute tank as well. Hooper's a big guy and everything, but Hurst is built like a tank, so he's not going to get dragged to the ground very easily compared to like what we've seen in the past. And I don't know if you've managed to see the training videos so far.
But
the one-handed catches, it's a speciality. There's so many just like little clips of him just going out of the air. So I'm very excited for that. If that's like a little piece that he's got to show all the time.
Oh my God, I could just see it now, like in the end zone, like Matt Ryan throwing to Hayden Hurst, and then he does like an Odell Beckham like that, one-handed. Like it'll be over with.
It was so casual though. He literally one hand catches it, brings it into his body, and then basically skips down the line because he knows it was amazing. He's literally like hopping off, celebrating, and I'm ready for it.
So a person that we mentioned was Todd Gurley, coming from the LA Rams. Now, last season he did have double-digit touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 12 or 13. It might be a little bit more.
12 running.
And then 2 receiving, I think.
Yeah, so total actually 14 then. So with the Falcons in this system, it's sort of close to like the Sean McVay system a little bit. Just a little bit far apart in some aspects. But I'm saying Todd Gurley is probably going to at least hit right at max 10 touchdowns. What do y'all think?
Ooh, I mean, my head probably says that's about right, but my heart's saying like 16. I can't do anything about it. So, no, I'm going over. Maybe not 16, but I think even if he's rotated and he gets about 12 starts just because of his knee and they'll manage him a little bit better, I'd say pretty much I'd take a touchdown a game or a touchdown a start anyway.
Yeah, I think if he hits 12 touchdowns like he did last year, I think, me and Danny worked out, did we have 8 touchdowns with all our running backs last year? So if he gets 12 on his own, and the others are going to pitch in as well, I think it's a win-win situation. I think the whole signing's a win-win situation, really.
Oh yeah.
He has to perform. I know if he does so well, we're going to have to sign him longer, but I'm sure they've already thought about that anyway. They're not going to sign someone and think it's a 1-year thing. We'll make room if we want to sign him on a bigger contract, but for $5 million a year, and I think he's guaranteed at least 10 touchdowns with what he's like in the red zone is unbelievable. So if we use the other running backs further down the field to get us down there, and obviously throwing at him, etc., put him in the red zone and he's hitting 10 touchdowns without fail, I think.
Right. So Todd Gurley is looking to have a phenomenal season, but when we first did sign him, it kind of did concern me a little bit because, we just got rid of an injured running back pretty much in Devontae Freeman. And I was saying to myself, why are we signing a somewhat already injured running back when we just released another one? And, but then, more videos started coming out. He trained with that knee, he was like leg pressing probably like 500 pounds or whatever that was. And he looks phenomenal. And for the training camp videos that we've seen in Todd Gurley, it's kind of like lifting my spirits a little bit, saying, okay, maybe he ain't injured.
I think as well, there's just opportunities that are too good to say no to. I think when a player of his quality, like looking back, even if you don't count last season, look back at 2017 and 18, and when a player like that comes on the market and the contract's only between like 4 and 6 million or something, how can you say no? That you can't lose that money is nothing compared to some of the contracts that other players are on. So worst case scenario, he gets like 10 touchdowns, and then like Cal said, everyone else chips in. That's still in it. That's an improvement on last year, and it's cost us practically nothing.
Yeah, and he's got a better quarterback too in Matt Ryan than Jared Goff, so that increases the chances like at least 50% more. So speaking of Matt Ryan, now, oh boy, I'm a Matt Ryan supporter from. Well, really, since day one of me supporting the Falcons, and that was our Super Bowl year. I'm going to say the max amount of yards that Matt Ryan's going to get is the 5,000 mark this year. What do y'all think? Do you think for yardage over and under, and for touchdowns, me personally, I think he's going to reach 50 again, like he did in 16.
For the yards, I'd say 5,000.
Yeah. Saying if him, what was it, 4.5 last year? Did he get?
I think it was 4.5, maybe. I want to say,
and that was with missing one game as well. So missing 1 and a bit games, I think.
Yeah.
But I think anything around that again. But
touchdowns,
I'd still say under, because I think the maximum last year was only 40. I want to say.
So Matt Ryan's yard was 4,466.
So I'll definitely go with 5K then, because technically last season was an off season. If you improve in those first 8 matches, well, 7 of the 8 matches, that is a huge difference without a doubt.
Lamar Jackson got 37, and he was the number 1.
I'm going to go for 35. I'm going to go for 35 touchdowns. I mean, did you say 50? Because that'd be...
Yeah, I said 50 because, you look at the weapons. Calvin Ridley almost came close to another double-digit season. Yeah. We're going to have Julio, hopefully a double-digit season, and Hayden Hurst getting close to that. So that right there, already 27 touchdowns, let's just say that. And then you got the rotations coming in the fourth quarter, and that could just be even more out there. So I might be over it.
it'd be heavy. It'd be heavy wins every game, but I know what you mean. We are going to be a very offense-heavy team this season, in my opinion. So
I think, if you are pushing even say you're 40, you've got to be. You'll be winning 10 games if you're pushing. It'd be hard not to win 10 games if you're even pushing 40. So I'd accept like what Danny said, 35. But obviously, you looked at Winston last year and he got 36, but obviously like 33 interceptions. That's what we don't need. Look where the Bucks finished. So I think anything around 35 to 40 but like what you said, with the weapons we have, it's gone up a notch this year.
Yeah,
it's even with using Todd Gurley as like, obviously he's a running back, but the catches that he's made in the pre-season are unbelievable. So you could easily use him, surprise him, and use him as a quick wide receiver, and you wouldn't have a clue about it. So you never know.
I think we're overlooking people like Gage as well, to be fair, though, because he's an absolute unit. So I think there's more than enough. You're probably right in your logic that there's more than enough people to chip in like 3 and 4 touchdowns each, and then have our main men all pushing towards double digits to get like a heavy scoring from our MVP season.
Oh yes, actually, I don't think maybe league MVP, but I think if we make it, Super Bowl MVP.
I'll say that. I'll take that one. I'll take that over the normal MVP.
Because really right now the league is dominated by mobile quarterbacks and Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray. But I think if the Falcons do make it to the Super Bowl, and it's probably going to be up against, I'm going to say Kansas City again this year. If we happen to win that and Matt Ryan does have a game, I think he will win the Super Bowl MVP, but not league MVP.
Oh, it's such a lovely thought, but it's so far away yet. So far away.
But yeah, so save this video.
Yeah, take note of it.
Most of ours as well, what we've said.
But yeah, so I sound like I am over exaggerating, but I just try to look at certain different aspects of what could happen and what couldn't happen. But speaking of Matt Ryan and touchdowns, how many rushing touchdowns?
I reckon I'm gonna go. What did it? I think he hit. Was it 2 last year? I'm gonna go with 2. I'm gonna go for 3 this year. I'm gonna go for 3.
He got his wheels out at some point, because I remember running thinking I could catch him from my sofa and catch him up still, but but no, yeah. Go on. What's your over and under number, and then I'll.
I'm gonna say really about 3, like Hal said.
Yeah, 3 is good.
I'd take 3. I'd take 3, just because of the style of play. I know other quarterbacks should expect miles more than that, but for how he plays and how we play in the people that he's got in front of him, I don't think he needs to risk himself running that much and putting himself in the firing line for bigger hits. So
right,
I think he needs to avoid that after the 50.
He only got 1 last year.
Oh, did he?
Oh wow!
I thought he actually got more, but yeah, I'll go for 3. First game.
Okay. And the only reason I said that right there is because I just seen the tweet from Kelsey, because she's of course the Falcons reporter, and Matt Ryan did say himself he would love to get a little bit more mobile this season.
Yeah, I just read that same thing, saying that he's been practicing and he's running a little bit more, but I don't know whether that means like his speed or his technique, or I don't know. But
yeah.
Any touchdown that he scores, if he ran it, I'll be a hell of a lot more excited than him throwing one, because that's just what you want to see from him.
Yeah. So really the last player that I want to discuss with the over and under is, of course, Calvin Ridley. Last season, he did get injured like probably 3-4 games before the season ended. And he was at 8 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. And he was so close to that double-digit season, he could smell it. But this season, if healthy, and definitely with his route running that we've seen, oh my goodness, I'm going to say probably 12 touchdowns for the kid.
I won't go over or under. I'll actually agree with 12, and I'm going over 1,000 yards comfortably as well, because he was on 8.5 last year and then obviously he missed his game, so he would have pretty much comfortably taken 1,000 yards then.
Yeah, I think I'm more the same. I think 12 touchdowns is very doable. Over 1,000 yards is easy. He'll piss out this year. 12. I see him 1,100, 1,200 yards. Because I think obviously you know what Julio's like, but I think it's just if he's fit for every game, he's hitting 1,100, 1,200 yards.
Right.
I think the only thing that's going to change this season for Ridley is I think people not that they've not taken him seriously as such, but I think he'll be looked at as a proper player a little bit more. And I think he'll start to receive a little bit more coverage than he has done over the last 2 seasons. Because your rookie season, nobody knows what to expect.
Right.
Last year, people are still focusing on Jones on the other side.
Who was like number 2, weren't he?
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, Sanu started as the number 2, really. But this is his year now, so I think he's got a lot more work resting on him this season.
Yeah, because this right here is his 3rd season, and really, he has to prove himself because really that 4th season is your contract year.
Yeah.
Coming off your rookie deal. So if you make a huge impact this year, this offseason, the Falcons could go ahead and just opt out of that rookie contract and just go ahead and sign him long term.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I don't see a scenario where that doesn't happen, to be fair. He seems like the heir to the throne for Julio, really. He's probably one of the best route runners in the NFL already. Like I know there's a bias because we support the Falcons, but when you watch him, the speed that he turns at, and literally like my ankles snapped just watching him do it. Just sat on my chair, so I don't know how people can cope with it defending against him.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I saw that video. I was like, oh my God. And then Lamar Jackson's like, took that boy for a ride. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to be the best season we have. So I know I said, that was the last person, but I want to throw one person right here, and he's on defense, and that's Takk McKinley, because we did not pick up his 5th-year option, and he said, he's humbled, and, he's willing to work and everything. But with Dante Fowler Jr. and Grady Jarrett right there beside him, how many sacks do you think he'll get on the quarterback? I'm going to be very optimistic here and say 7 sacks on the quarterback this season.
Wow. See, you've just said optimistic and go with 7, and I was going to say 9. So, so I'm going over. I'm going over for that one. I don't know why. I just think that's all such a unit. I think after last season when we came 31st or 30th for sacks until later on in the season when we got up a little bit, this season I just think we're going to slam them every single time. I'd be very shocked if we weren't like doubling our figure from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say around 8. I think it'd be good. I also think it's a win-win situation again because we've not already signed him for his 5th year. He's got to prove a point. He's got to prove a massive point. But I think I think 8. If we get 8 sacks from him, and then you've obviously got Fowler, even Davidson coming in. Obviously Jarrett. I think if he pushes 8, I think he might get. I think it's in his hands, isn't it? Really, it's like he's got to prove himself to get the deal. And even if he has a really good season, he don't want to sign with us. He's had a really good season here. We've benefited from it anyway. So
yeah.
I think pushing 8, I think that'd be all right. But obviously, you got to obviously like the tackles for the loss as well. I think if he's up there as well, I think hopefully he'll have a good season.
Right. And with Vic Beasley here last year, yes, I was pushing with everybody else, like, get rid of this man, pitchfork his house, whatever. But that second half of the season, something just turned around on the defense, and he just started getting sacks left and right. And he was close to a double-digit season last year. And I was willing to keep Vic Beasley under Raheem Morris's defense. But, of course, we did get rid of him. But if Vic Beasley would have actually done his job the first half of the season like he did the second half, would still be sitting here talking about how great Vic Beasley is. but his work ethic, I think, is what kills him the most, and that's why we got rid of him.
Absolutely, and I think that's the case for him now, isn't it? He's had the opportunities from teams, and then he's not showed at training camps, and he's not showed up where he should be, and he's been fined already this off season. So there's something just not sitting right with him at the moment, and I don't know whether that's a temporary thing or whether that's just who he is now, and he's come to the stage in his career where he thinks, I don't need to do all this training, I don't need to put the work in because I'm good enough. But that's not really the case. If you're not consistent every single season, then you can't rate yourself as one of the top players in the NFL.
Yeah, because his 2016 season was a very remarkable season of 16 and a half. Digressed a little bit, I think, to 8 for that following season, and then 18 and 19. I mean, he just wasn't there. He maybe recorded like 1 or 2 sacks the whole seasons. But yeah, I mean, I was willing to keep him after that second half of the season. But of course, you know, I'm not the one in the front office of the Falcons. But it's still, at the end of the day, I think this was a great move that we did get rid of Vic Beasley, because we could have ended up what he's doing right now again for this season.
Exactly. And then we'd still be a man down and no one to fill that hole when we've already struggling for like veteran depth all over the place anyway. So I think we're in a much better position now than we would have been.
And still, you know, keeping up with Vic or Tack McKinley, I think that's what kind of is going to motivate Tack a little bit more, because Vic Beasley, he wasn't that vocal point of that defensive line, and Tack needs that. And that's where Dante Fowler Jr. comes in, because I watched that mic'd up session on the Falcons YouTube channel, and Fowler, I mean, he's just talking to everybody. He's talking X's and O's with McKinley, and I think that's what McKinley needs to get a very great season under the belt.
Yeah, well,
that's what we needed, didn't we? We need that vocal thing, and I don't think he was last year. I don't think Vic Beasley was the vocal guy, and I think always it's like we mentioned like Marlon Davis, and even though he's obviously a rookie first year, but he looks vocal, he's speaking, that's what we need. We need a vocal. I think our defense needs to be bigger, meaner. Gotta be, even like when they make comments on the field and that, you don't mind that, because you want showing aggression, showing that you're there, you're getting stuck in, I think. And looking at the pictures of Tack this year, it looks bloody hell. He looks a grade up from last year anyway. So hopefully he can take that onto this year.
He said himself that he's the fittest and the best built that he's ever been, and you can see it. And I'm hoping that his physicality will help his performances as well, because obviously, he dropped 25 pounds? Did he say he's dropped? I think.
Yeah, it was
like dropped the weight, but put muscle on, which means he's dropped a hell of a lot of fat to be able to build up, because muscle weighs more than fat. So he must be like absolutely like a machine at the moment in time. So I think it's another one, like Al just said, win-win. If it doesn't work out, he goes, no major loss. Like, we've not lost any money for it. And if it goes well, then here's another contract, lad. Stay on.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. You know, I think Dan Quinn is rooting for him. And if this season does go out well planned and Tack McKinley does get more than what we just said of 7 to 9, Dan Quinn, you know, I hope he's just like, you know, Tack McKinley, I'm going to personally hand you the contract, sign it, because I'm rooting for you. And that's what I love about actually switching over with Dan Quinn. You know, since the players fought for him this season, he seems like he's more, I wouldn't say like aggressive towards the players, but he is more staying on their back, saying, come on, let's go. Talk with your Alexa voice. Let's go.
Yeah.
and I like that about that with Dan Quinn this season.
Me and Danny sort of have the same opinion with Dan Quinn. Even though it was our first season last year, we even thought like halfway through 1 to 7 was just like, how has he stayed in a job, to be fair? I know you had the Super Bowl season, and the season after he still did well. But he's such a man management. He's such a good coach with the players close to the players, etc. And the celebrations on the touchline, I think he gets so stuck into the game. I think that's He's like the perfect guy we want. I just hope this year it just pays off for him.
I think that might be a reason why his change in personality, or not personality, but his persona a little bit, just because he knows that this is a make or break season. If he doesn't get along a deep playoff run this season, he knows he's gone and that's it. And to be fair, even with a deep playoff run, how many times can you give someone an opportunity to rebuild no matter how much you like them? I mean, I'd love to keep him as long as we keep making progress. But would you another Super Bowl at some point?
I would say the way I believe Dan Quinn can save his job for this season, you got to make it to at least divisional or NFC championship. I mean, the Super Bowl is definitely going to solidify that contract, but even if you just make it to divisional or NFC championship, I think he's going to be here for the long haul.
I'd hope that that's the case, and obviously only if we do have a season and we don't fluke our way there and we genuinely look like we've improved and all the players are playing as a unit, then we're more than happy to keep him. Like we said, we love the guy, so we need him to watch. Like, I want to watch him rebuild. I feel like he's had 3 years now of just like plowing along, but this is the best roster that he's had, in my opinion, since the Super Bowl.
So now we are out of the over and unders. I know we took a very long time on that, but hey, it was fun. I like that. Definitely come out with a huge shocker of me wanting Matt Ryan 50 touchdowns. But now we're just going to go with the predictions for the season. Now we're not going to do like game by game, but we're just going to kind of like do like, I would say kind of like key games that's going to make or break the season. So of course, Week 1, Seattle in the Benz. I like our home field advantage despite with no fans here. And of course, Seattle always struggles on the East Coast team, Green Bay, Falcons, whatever the case may be. I think, honestly, with us right here, we can come out the gate swinging and start getting the defense off the field the very first snap of the game. What do y'all think?
I'm for a win first game of the season. I think it'll be a very close one, just because of the quality that they have. But I think we should be so pumped and ready, and we're coming back off the back of a very, very good second half of the season, finishing 6-2. So hopefully we just drag that through with us, and it'll be a close win, but any win's solid at that stage of the season.
Yeah, I think it's a good first game to have. Obviously, I think they'll be a very good team again this year. I think they'll be pushing the 49ers for their own division, but I think it's a great one to have. I think they've made a few good signings, etc. But I think with the home field advantage, I know there's no crowd there, but I'd obviously rather have them at home than obviously away at this the first game. But I think I had it down for a win as well, and I think, like Danny said, it'd be a very close game. But I think if we get that, if we beat them in the first game, I think obviously you're not going to get too excited because it's only the first game. But straight away, it's like, say if you played, say, Washington straight away or whatever, you'll be saying you've got to win that anyway. But the Seahawks is like, because they could be pushing to the championship game, etc. this year. I think if we win that, it's a big statement in the first game, I think.
Yeah. It will turn heads, no doubtly, saying like, okay, well, this is not the Falcons that we've seen the very first half of the season last year. So I do like that. The second game that I think is a pivotal point of what's going to make or break our season is the Monday Night Football game against the Packers in Lambeau. With that one,
fourth game, I think. Is it the fourth game? Yeah. Week 4. Yeah. I agree with that one.
Because with that game right there, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, is he going to show up being the Aaron Rodgers that we all known and love, is, deep ball passes, or is he going to be that one that is saying, hey, I'm a little salty because y'all signed Jordan Love, and I'm going to purposely just lose this game,
I'll take it.
But still, it's in Lambeau. It's a cold environment, and it's in October. October 5th. And it could be snowing by then, so who knows? And if we actually get a win in Lambeau and with cold conditions and everything, that might just solidify, the Falcons saying, hey, we are a team this year and we're going to make a deep run.
Yeah, I think that. We don't have a very good record against their division, do we? In the last, I know we haven't played them for so many years, but I think someone mentioned when the fixtures came out. Obviously, we knew we was playing them, but I think we don't have the best record against that division. So I think it would be a massive statement, especially Monday Night Football. You ain't got a bigger stage to show yourself on. So I think, like you said, it is a massive fourth game. I think if we went into that like two wins and one loss by then, and we make that 3 wins and 1 loss, I think that statement is like, oh shit, like people looking straight at us after that game.
And our undefeated record will be up for grabs on this one because the Falcons are 5-0 on Monday Night Football.
They didn't know that. That's a good.
I would accept it.
So this is like the Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Who's going to win this one?
We do need to be going into that bye week with 2 losses maximum, because that second half of the season, especially the last 4 matches, is absolutely unbelievably difficult. So if we're not on a heavy win ratio by then, we'll find it very hard to keep pushing into the playoffs unless we pulled some unbelievable results.
And so we got 2 more games right here. And the third one, I think, is what's really going to help determine our season, is our very first AFC opponent, and that's the Denver Broncos. So everybody knows the Atlanta Falcons struggle against AFC teams. Like, it's unreal, not unless you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. But going up against the Broncos, who are a very hot team, if we could get a win right there and kind of really go into the AFC division and really cause some havoc, would that worry the Kansas City Chiefs later on down the road, or are we going to fall to our very first AFC opponent for the season?
I think I actually went for a loss for that game, but my record coming up to that game isn't that bad. I think I already have us on 6 wins before that, so I don't think it would be I think it depends on the record before that as well. I know you say it's against an AFC team. We need to be picking up a couple of wins against the 3 we play, but I think it will be a close game. But like you said, I think it's just before the bye week as well, so it could set the stall for the second part of the season as well for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I've got it as a win, but like Cal said, it's the games before that matter in terms of if that is a massive game or not. I know what you mean about it's another statement, and it'll make the other teams that we play later on panic a little bit if we do walk away with it. But I just want to get into that bye week on a heavy positive, and then anything else. I don't care which way the results fall, really.
Right. Okay. And actually, I have us winning against the Broncos, but at least by a field goal from Younghoe Koo.
Nice. Very specific as well.
So the last game, and I'm going to say, this could go either way, either at the Benz or in Tampa. But I think the game that's really going to matter is against the Buccaneers. I'm going to lean more towards if we can win at Tampa against Tom Brady, I think then, of course it's the last game of the season, but I think if we could get a win right there, definitely, we have something going right here. What do you think? Either the game that matters at the Benz or in Tampa?
I mean,
I think it all depends on the record, doesn't it?
I think both are probably equally important just on the basis that by that point in the season, in my opinion, I think us and the Bucs are going to be awfully close. I think we'll literally be a win or 2 apart, and those games are going to be crucial to the season. I don't know whether it'll come down to the very last game, but definitely the one at the Benz, that to me is key, because is that 3 before the end?
Yeah, you've got that one, and the Chiefs and the Bucs.
Yeah. So for me, that one's probably crucial, because say we're on 2 wins more than them or something by that point, but then if you lose that, your head's going. But if you win it, you're like secure and you're done. So, but I know what you mean. If we're in a playoff spot by time that last game comes in and we win at their stadium, you're walking into the playoffs more confident than pretty much any other team that's out there. And you've got that little bit of revenge on Brady as well. So.
Yeah, it would be so fascinating. Like, we actually finished the entire game 28-3 and Falcons win. That would be just such a huge slap in Brady's face.
You've got some very specific predictions. I'll be putting some bets on some of these because they'd be very good returns.
But which I made a season prediction video and podcast. Like, I think where the night the schedule got released, but I've done almost forgot all of them right now, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, so I mean, overall, I really have the Falcons having a winning season, at least 11-5.
I've gone 10-6, but that ballpark will get us into the playoffs, so comfortably.
Yeah, I seen a comment because there is an extra playoff team this year anyway.
Yep. Someone
mentioned we put, like, I think Danny put a tweet earlier saying, "Oh, what's people's predictions?" And some Patriots guy put 8 for 8. And it was just like, oh, no team will reach the playoffs if they don't finish on double digits. But I don't believe that. I think there'll be one team that'll finish on a 9-7, and I think they'll one team. There might be a few teams that finish on it, but there'll be one team that will get that extra playoff spot on a 9-game winning. But I've, like what Danny said, I've got us both on a 10-6.
Yeah,
but that's like, I think. There's some games that'll be so close, and I think the major 3 is obviously the last 3. Like, we could already be on 9 wins by then, and you're thinking you literally need 1 win out of the last 3 games, but you've got the Chiefs and then you got the Bucks twice. So I think by that week we have to be on 9 wins.
Yeah.
There's any argument against that one.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even agree even more right there. But yes, I mean, the entire season right here is going to be a spectacular one. But everybody keeps pointing out that if the Falcons do have a winning season and even do reach the Super Bowl this year, it's not going to count because of the COVID. I found that hard to believe right there.
I'm not buying into that. That's just people not wanting to buy into our hype because of who we are. Not having it.
Because like Adam Schefter on ESPN, he's saying like the underdog teams like the Lions, the Browns and everything. I know he didn't mention the Falcons, but I knew he probably wanted to say the Falcons as well. But teams like that, he's pretty much saying the kind of like the bad teams, which we're not a bad team. I mean, we're very consistent, but could honestly make a huge impact this season, but might not even count.
But for me, we're all on a level playing field, so how does it count any less than any other season? And
I agree with that, because I think it's like, I know you have like certain stadiums that have a good like home crowd, etc. So that's sort of more of an advantage to them. But now it's literally everyone's the same, so I don't get how you can argue against it. Literally everyone's the same. It's empty stadiums. This is only for the first month, I think. Like they did say, further in the season there'll be more fans, but if you get into the Super Bowl, you can't fluke your way to a Super Bowl.
No.
Like it's I even like the Patriots. I know they've won like 6 out of 9, and then the division has been slightly easier, but they've still beat the top teams in the playoffs, etc. to get there. Yeah. You can't just fluke yourself to a whole Super Bowl.
I don't even think you can really fluke a single match in this sport at all. I just don't think it's a thing. I don't think you get lucky wins, really. You pretty much have to fight for every single point. It's not like other sports where you get away with stuff. So
right. Yeah, we're not the Houston Astros. We're not cheating our way there. But no, I'm just kidding. And I did find that funny because a lot of teams, like, the NFL has pretty much said you could pump fake crowd noise in, and Matt Ryan was asked about that. He said, I'd rather not talk about that. I did find that a little funny, but, Falcons, of course, has always been known for pumping fake crowd noise in, but this year it's actually okay.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It makes the game easier to watch. To be fair, they're doing it with soccer, well, football to us, but soccer over here at the moment in time. And the games that you do watch that don't have it, it's so hard to watch a completely silent stadium. So it's easily done. I'm all for it.
Yeah. So I think honestly it's going to be a great season right here for the Atlanta Falcons. I think we're going to have a winning season and make the playoffs. But the family listeners watching this podcast YouTube edition right here, go down in the comment section below and put your predictions and your over unders of what you think. But Falcons UK, that's all I got for today. And unless y'all want to add in another topic to the podcast, or what do you got?
I've got one question. This is only because it came up on Twitter about them not signing another kicker. Or they said that, but me and Danny mentioned this in one of ours, and we was like, I think they should always have another one for backup anyway, and you need pressure on to Koo. Koo's did great last year, but you don't want a player getting too relaxed in his environment. Like, oh, that's my position now. It's like, no, you need the pressure on him to perform better. I think that's just a one for me. I think.
Yeah, like because we don't want to fall into the situation like we did with DeVecchio last season. You know, because DeVecchio, he was awesome that last half of the 18 season, but then 2019 season, all eyes were on him, and then he's missing field goals left and right. I don't want that again for this year, being in Younghoe Koo's, assistance right there. Yeah, I think we honestly need more competition. But now, if you feel comfortable with him, that's great. But still sign a backup kicker and let Younghoe Koo be kind of like that onside kick and recover the ball like immediately.
Yeah, over and over. But for me, you sign a veteran kicker. You sign someone that's not going to need a heavy contract, that's not too bothered concerned about the playing time. They just want to still be involved, so they still get an odd opportunity. And that way, Koo will improve as well, because if you've got somebody that's been in the league for 10 years, showing him what to do, because obviously he's still technically reasonably new to the NFL. So I think it'd be mental not to sign someone, especially if we're not going to use the cap space that we've got left over. Then I don't see the point of not getting one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree right there. So, but yeah, so and honestly, I mean, what we talked about, training camp and everything, this is all just practice right now. Like we talked about hyping AJ Terrell up. He could be the most phenomenal talent in training camp and then, be a total bust in the actual season. It could work all these ways. Our over-unders could be totally out of whack. Matt Ryan could throw for 100 touchdowns and 20,000 yards. Who knows? Or 1 yard and 0 touchdowns. But we're just having fun right here. But yes, this is our predictions right here, and we're just bringing the best news that we could possibly can to you guys right here. But but guys, Atlanta Falcons UK, Daniel and Cal, let us know where we could find you at on any streaming platform or social media.
So we are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've got a podcast. We're on YouTube, and our @ on all of them is ATL Falcons UK. Nice and easy to find. We're on Twitter more than anywhere else, really, to be honest with you. But we pretty much do weekly podcasts and weekly YouTube shows are coming along with this one, really. So, yeah, give us a follow and let us know what you think.
Cal, you got any words that you want to say before we head out of here today, man?
Not much, really, but I'm absolutely buzzing for the season, and I think I just can't wait to
21 to go.
I'm not waiting for it to start, to be fair. And I think I hope everyone obviously stays safe with everything what's going on in the world at the moment. But I think it's great to have football back in the next 3 weeks, and I think it'll bring people back together and hopefully a winning season.
100% a winning season.
So 2019. Oh, wow. I just looked this up on my calendar. The day this podcast released, which is what everybody's listening to right now, we are 18 days, which is Calvin Ridley days away from the season.
Take it.
So
1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yep. So so everybody listening, we are Calvin Ridley days away from the season. I just realized this whenever I was looking at my calendar right here. But guys, that is the Falcons UK right there. Make sure to go follow them on all the social media platforms and streaming services that you currently listen to your podcast from. They are very great. Their roundtable discussion that they had a couple weeks or close to a month ago definitely was a great episode right there for the Falcons UK. I enjoyed every bit of that right there.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, so follow them on Twitter. Get these guys verified right here because
we need it.
yeah, they definitely need it, guys.
We all deserve it. We all deserve it. Keep working on it.
But also make sure to go check out my podcast as well right here on SoundCloud.com, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you're getting your podcast from. I'm still working on not Anchor Podcast, Apple Podcasts, because that right now is my toughest podcast to get into. I don't understand why, but Anchor is definitely working their butts off right now to get me on there as well. But yes, follow them, follow me, and hope you enjoyed the show. And then till then, Falcons UK and the MorganMan Sports Podcast will catch you all later. Peace.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
All right. I definitely like that right there now.